There we go. All right. So everybody have some contacts to get in touch with tonight?
I do.
Gathered some names and numbers and what? Janine, looks like you got a big stack. Deb has a basket. Susanna, do you have some people to call, some names and numbers?
I have some phone numbers, yeah.
Okay, great. So before we get into that, let me bring up here, I've got a little PowerPoint that's going to kind of walk us through what we wanted to talk about tonight. Where are we here? There we go. And so we're going to talk about having a booking blitz because we're heading almost just a few days left before we get into 2018. And so it's good to take a little bit of time to start planning for that. And you may have already. So some of you may already have January bookings on your calendar. If you do, that's awesome. If you're starting from scratch, that's okay too. It's never too late. And you can always, just start from here and move forward. So with that in mind, the first step in this is setting a goal. Now, the goal that I'm going to give you for the booking blitz is to actually talk to 10 people, okay? That might take 10 phone calls. It might take 50 phone calls. You just never know. So the goal is to actually talk to 10 people. Now, you'll notice that that's more of an activity goal than a results goal, okay? Because that's really, what we're starting for them initially is kind of the, I don't want to say the bare minimum, but basically that's really what we're looking for. But I'm sure that each of you have a goal, or if you don't, this would be a good time to take a little bit of time and think about what your goal is for January. Now, as an aside, of course, if you talk to someone and they're saying, well, I would be interested in having a show, but January's not good for me, then by all means, turn to February and book them in February. So we're not saying that that's the only time, but if your January is not already as full as you'd like it to be, then you want to make sure that you're offering the soonest dates, getting yourself booked up as much as possible within the closer dates, because then when you have January booked, February, of course, is going to, you're going to get business for February moving on from that. So don't ever turn down a booking, or don't say to somebody, okay, fine, then I'll just call you in a few weeks. Go ahead and get them booked for February, March, July, whatever they want, and get that on the calendar as well. But when it comes to what your goal is and what you are, first of all, offering and inviting people to do, you want to focus on the dates that are the closest in that you would like to book for your purposes. So what are your goals for January? Deb, what do you have? Do you have some dates marked on your calendar or in mind that you would like to book for January?
Well, I would like to book at least 10 shows for January because I know how prevalent our cancellations are.
Right.
So, weather and all that happy stuff. But now I'm really glad that we have the backup system of a Facebook party if
absolutely
the other doesn't, follow through. So,
right. Because that has always been, certainly a challenge. Even in Tennessee, here it's ice. It's not going to be 27 inches of snow, but, we can easily have ice, and that really, keeps people from wanting to go out, and rightly so, because it can be dangerous. And it used to be more of an issue that if somebody had a show and it got weathered out, it could be months before it was rebooked. And that's kind of a bummer for you and for the host, especially if they really want a host special for a particular month, anything like that. So during host coaching, that's something that you'll want to, and this is a totally separate thing, but, really host coach with them the backup plan. If the weather is such that it doesn't work out, not a problem. You're going to have a Facebook event set up anyway for their live cooking show as one of the ways to both invite people and communicate with them before the show, certainly to be in touch with the people who aren't able to attend. So if it turns out that day you're both saying, this is just not going to work, not a problem. You start sending out texts and making some calls to the people that were invited and saying, hey, we're going to meet up on Facebook instead. Get yourself, a cup of hot chocolate and put on your warm jammies and stay home and be safe, but we're still going to party tonight. So, either way, that can hopefully really help keep the cancellations to a minimum. So, Janine, what about your goal for January?
I would like to add.
Oh. Hello?
Oh. Did I lose you guys?
I lost you. I don't know if it's me.
She's there.
Oh, okay.
I see her. I hear her.
Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, all of you froze up on my screen there for a few seconds,
Oh, okay.
but you're back.
All right.
So I don't know what happened.
So I would like to add 6 more shows to my calendar.
Okay, awesome. What do you have already?
4.
Terrific. Sounds great. And Susanna, what about you? What's your goal for January bookings?
My goal is for 10 shows.
10 shows? Awesome.
Yep.
So you want to, of course, have those dates marked on your calendar. It's always best to have dates to offer people instead of sort of a wide open calendar and just saying, well, what's good for you? So mark the dates that you want to do. Now, if you want to do 3 shows a week and you have 5 days a week that you could do those, once the 3 are booked, of course, you can pull those other 2. It's not that you have to book 5, but, if you're saying, well, I could really do a show any night, Monday through Friday, and then once you get Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday booked, then maybe you want to say, okay, we're going to move on to the next week. But you want to certainly know what works for you and your family, your other things that are already spoken for, just stay in control of your calendar. Now, of course, this can also be sometimes a combination of cooking shows and virtual shows, depending on what works best for you and what your preferences are. But either way, you want to make sure that you're getting things on your calendar in a way that works for you. In both cases, also keeping in mind if you want to be submitting shows in January, say if 10 shows being submitted in a month is your goal, then having time to do that, whether it's a virtual show that might go on a little bit longer or even a cooking show that just, takes a few days to close. So some things to keep in mind. Everybody familiar with the specials that are going on in January for hosts?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do we have going on?
Double free.
Mhm.
The 650
That's
and
$6.50,
sales or
right?
more.
Right.
60%. Oh,
What else do we have in January?
book the first
Days
3
1 through
months.
10, you get the free popcorn.
Right. Now those are shows held and submitted. So they have
Right.
to be submitted by midnight Central Time on the 10th. They also have to be dated in January between the 1st and the 10th. So for example, if it's a virtual party that happened to start this week, but you're going to close it during that time frame, it needs to be dated January 1st. It can't be a December show carried over. I mean, it can be in terms of our the reality of how it's functioning, but the date in a consultant's corner has to be a January show. It can't be dated December 28th and then closed during that time frame, or they won't get the popcorn maker. And then the other thing, of course, is there are several sets that they can get 60% off in January, which I love that they've done. And they've taken products that are in the catalog, but not in these particular groupings.
Right.
So, a person could certainly anytime get a spiralizer for half price, but this is not only a bigger discount, but grouped with other products that are not typically together in a set, so that they're getting a lot of stuff 60% off with those specials for January host things. And of course, that's no matter what the show is, the $6.50 minimum only relating to the double products or the double free product credit, whereas the free popcorn maker and those other set 60% off options are available for all parties within the right time frames. Okay, so we've got a goal heading into things. Step 2 is setting a time frame. We actually have 2 time frames as part of this booking blitz. Phase 1 is tonight. So that's when we get off the phone, and I have it basically from 7 to 8 or 8 to 9, depending what time zone you're in, give or take, depending on when we get off this call. But basically what we're looking for is an hour. And so an hour solid dedicated to making contacts. So that's the booking blitz for tonight. Okay. Now we have Brandy, one of our team members who's in Alaska. So when we do this sort of thing, it's like whatever it is, 2 in the afternoon for her or something. And, with kids running around, everything not ideal. So I threw that in there. So anybody who's west of the central time zone, anytime you, can do what, do your thing tonight. Take an hour to do a booking blitz, that'll work too. Phase 2 is to continue beyond tonight's hour through tomorrow night. So if you have people you didn't get to tonight, if you left some messages you want to follow up with, if you get from some calls back from people, someone that you forgot about or just didn't, get a chance to call, or even that you happen to run into tomorrow while you're out doing something, shopping or at work or what have you. All of those things can count. So the second phase runs from basically after the first hour tonight until tomorrow night. All right. So that's kind of what we're doing. So the first thing for those of us that are on the call right now and doing the booking blitz right now, that's the timing that we're looking at. Okay. Step 3 is going to be making a plan. So we'd already talked about, who to call, and you guys have your lists of people, your stack of drawing slips, what have you, what message to leave if you don't reach people, and then of course what to say when you do reach them or they call back. So on the who to call, does everybody feel like they've got that pretty good handle on that? Are you looking for any ideas of anybody else to get in touch with?
Nope.
Okay. So what message to leave? Do you have a message that you feel like is effective and gets people calling you back? Okay, so let me suggest this to you. Don't leave a big long message, okay, let me back that up. You can do whatever you want. I'm not going to say don't do this, don't do that. I'm not the boss of you. And I will also say there aren't magic words, and it's not like if you don't do it this way, it's never going to work out. However, this is another option to try if you are, looking for something. What we don't want to do is give them so much information that they feel like they've got everything they need to know from the message, and there's no reason to talk to you. Because based on the information in the message, they're kind of going, well, I already know what she's calling about, and that's not going to work for me, or I'm not interested, or what have you. Okay?
Jill?
Yeah.
You have writing, but the pictures on the screen of us are located over some of the writing. So
you can move the pictures, Deb.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, just like put your cursor at the top, at the black bar, and you can move that to the other side.
Thanks. I just learned something new. Perfect. Thank you.
That's okay. So basically what you want to do is leave them a message that's going to give them a reason to call you back. Okay, so this down below that in italics is a suggestion for one way of doing that.
I like that because they don't know what you're questioning them about. So
right. And,
I like
and some people aren't going to call you back anyway, whatever. It's
right.
not that we're trying, like I said, it's not like we're casting a magic spell on them or something. But we don't want to, it's ideal to be able to actually get in a conversation on the phone, or it could be texting, or it could be whatever, where there's some back and forth, and you have a chance to go a little bit further with the conversation, rather than just leaving a lengthy message and hoping that something is going to pique their interest enough for them to give you a ring back. But when you have an actual conversation, when it's a two-way street, then if they have some concerns, some reservations, they're thinking, oh, well, I'm too busy right now. And, in their mind, they're thinking next week, and you're going, oh, well, the last week of January would be fine too, but you don't have a chance to offer those sort of solutions and alternatives if you don't have a two-way street going on. So just leaving them something short and sweet. Sorry, I missed you. I've got a quick question for you. Could you give me a call back when you get a chance? That's something that is going to, maybe give them a little bit different response to the message that you leave. Now, there also is a case that I think a lot of people don't listen to their voicemails. Some people do. I still always leave one because I don't want to just call, especially because a lot of people are not going to recognize your number. And I do that all the time. I mean, I'll get a call and I don't recognize the number, and I feel like if they really need me, they will leave a message.
Same here.
I don't ever return calls to a number that I don't recognize.
Same
ever.
here.
I mean, I wouldn't even know who to ask for. Otherwise, I'm just calling saying, hey, somebody call me from this number, and that seems a little silly. So if it's somebody that I mean, not to say I won't return calls. If I will return a call, like if it's, within my contacts, their name pops up. So it's not an issue of returning calls. It's just that so many times it's somebody that's like a telemarketer that it's not, I'm not going to go out of my way to return a call if there's no message left. And I just feel like if it's somebody that really needs to talk to me, or that's their intention, that they're going to leave a message and I'll look at it and then I'll call them back. So I would encourage you to still leave a message, knowing full well that there's a good chance they're not going to listen to it. It doesn't take you any longer, really, 2 seconds, whatever, leave a message. But that way, if they were looking at that number going, who is that? And then they see the message and go, oh, that was Deb, the Pampered Chef lady. That I think is just a more professional way to treat a missed call, okay? However, I think texting is another good way to handle that situation, though, because if you call and they don't answer, go ahead and leave a message, but you can also send them a text and say basically the same thing. Hey, Shannon, it's Jill with Pampered Chef. Sorry, I missed you. I mean, this could be a text just as well as a voice. And it's even okay if it's the same as the voice message that you left. Because if they do read the text and read the, hear the voicemail, who cares if it's the same thing? But basically the same idea. I've got a quick question for you. Can you give me a call back? Or get in touch with me. That way it opens the door because there's a good chance they may text you back instead of calling. That's fine. It'd be great to get a response in some way, because if texting is the way that they prefer to get back in touch with you, then if they text you back, now you know that and you can continue that way. So it's not that calling is the only way to be able to, have an effective communication with somebody, but I think it's a nice gesture, a good way, and that's what we're really focusing on tonight, is making some calls to reach out to people. But doubling that up with a text or a Facebook message or an email, some other thing afterwards, I think is a really powerful way to go back and forth. And then too, if you get that with the people who don't answer the phone because they don't recognize your number, but then they get a text, and once they realize it's you, they go, oh, it was Janine. Okay, I'll text her back. So that's it definitely is good to have a plan for what you're going to leave as a message, whether it's this or if you have something else in mind that you think is more effective for you, that's going to work well. That's totally fine. Just make sure that you have something, because you don't want to get on there and be on the voicemail going, this is Jill. Blah blah blah, and sometimes I've done it, and I hang up the phone going, I can't believe that was the stupidest message I ever. Wish you hadn't said your name, because you'd rather not own that, because it sounds so silly. So that's what we're trying to avoid. So just embracing the idea that there's a good chance there's going to be an opportunity to leave a message. Make the most of that. And go ahead and leave something that they're gonna, if they do choose to listen to it, is gonna help, be of interest to them. Okay, now the next thing is what to say when you do reach somebody. Try not to act too surprised if they answer their phone. Oh gosh, I wasn't actually, wait, could you hang up so I can just talk to your voicemail? I wasn't prepared to talk to an actual person. But when you do reach someone, because you will, or they call you back, then you need to be, of course, prepared for that too. And it's definitely great to know what the specials are. Those are a great marketing tool for us. Double free is amazing. Even just the first 10 days, getting that popcorn maker totally free just for having a party during that time. That's a really great deal. So those are good nuts and bolts to know about, all right? But there's also something to be said for the approach that you take. And making it really about them is, I think, a great approach across the board in our businesses. Now, I don't have this on the slide, but another way that you can do it that some people, and I think we have done this before in the past, is letting them know that maybe you have a challenge. Now, I am a bigger fan of saying I've challenged myself to, book 10 shows in January, or to fill up my calendar, or to reach out to as many people as I can in the new year, something like that. Some people like to say, well, I've been challenged. My company gave me this challenge, or my director gave me this challenge. Personally, I don't like the feel of that, or the sound of that. It sounds like I'm just kind of going through the motions because someone told me I was supposed to. And that's just to me, if that's something that works for you and that you may be more comfortable saying, oh, well, my director gave me this assignment and I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. Maybe that's more comfortable for you. You need to find what feels good for you, what you can do, and feel sincere about it, and have it come across in a way that is a warm and fuzzy. That's a feel good for you. So you can choose whatever way you want to do it. But even if you want to incorporate a challenge, you can give yourself a challenge. It doesn't have to be that somebody else gave it to you. Like I said, you can say, we're heading into a new year. I've challenged myself to reach out to as many people as I can and, fill up the calendar with people that I can share Pampered Chef with. That's as good of a challenge as anything else. So, you can bring that into the picture and invite them to join you. Invite them to host a party. Invite them to join you in sharing Pampered Chef with their friends. But I really encourage you to make it about them and inviting them to participate in what you have going on. Whether you choose to do that as I really, want to share Pampered Chef with as many people as I can in the new year, or there's this great company special going on that I really want to make sure that everybody knows about that and invite them to take part, to make the most of that. Inviting them into your business and into your world and into what you have to offer is a very different thing than asking them to do something for your sake. Okay. Think about if you were having a party, Christmas time, maybe you're having a party. When you invite people to your home, you invite someone to come to your party, it's not for your own sake. I'm not saying, oh, I hope you can come to the party because that's what I want. I'm inviting people to come to the party. Of course I want them there, but I also want them to come and have a good time, right? An invitation like that is something that, should not be, and I think won't come across as something that you're asking them to do you a favor by hosting a show. All right. So, extend that hand and invite them to whatever, fill in the blank. And that's where you can kind of play around with it a little bit. Choose what your focus is. If you have a particular one, maybe you want to just teach people new recipes. It might be getting together with friends. It might be, you've been taking care of everybody else for the last month. Now it's your turn. Let's get you and your friends together to, get out and have some fun. And we can do wine and cheese or chocolate or desserts or eat healthy. Are you and your friends interested, trying to, eat healthy in the new year? We can focus recipes on that. There are, different things that you can choose yourself. There are different options that you can offer people and see what sounds good to them. Ask them what their New Year's resolutions are. It might be spending more time with their friends. Having those, making sure that they don't lose those connections. It's very busy over the holidays and that can be a lot of fun, but I think people can often, especially women, kind of lose touch with their friends in the middle of that.
And everybody is into the painting with a twist or all these other different classes.
Yeah.
So I've been referring to parties instead of parties as free cooking classes.
Great. Yeah.
So would they like to take advantage of the free cooking classes that I'm offering in January? So
that's a great idea. Definitely. All right. Anybody have any other sort of approaches to talk to somebody about bookings that have worked for you or that you're interested in sharing or trying out?
Well, I think part of it is just having a conversation with them and finding out, because like one person, you have choose a focus. Well, for one person, it might be that they want to eat healthy. And then for the next person you talk to, it might be, they might tell you something like, oh my gosh, all I did was spend time with my family. I didn't even get to see my friends over the holidays. So then you can, sort of be ready to shift gears and address what they are looking for, not, just what we are trying to do. Because any theme that we might do can fit in with any of those.
Right. Well, that's definitely true because, and I know a lot of consultants that will, that sort of from their planning standpoint as a business looking at, okay, in January, I'm doing healthy eating shows. However, that means different things to different people. First of all, sometimes it's not necessarily like a losing weight kind of a, cutting back on whatever. Maybe it's quick meal times so that people aren't hitting the drive-through all the time. Eating even that. And that can also be incorporated with, like you said, Janine, these things that overlap because the focus for them might be more getting together with their friends. And oh, by the way, while we're doing that, we're going to do one-pot meals that you can get on the table quickly. You know what I mean? So that you're looking at, so I think it's certainly fine for you to kind of choose a focus if that's something that you're going to be more comfortable with, but being open to the fact that you don't want to, have people feel like that doesn't apply to them. It's sort of like even when we're talking about host benefits, for some people, they're all about the free products. But for other people, they have the money. They really could just buy what they want. They want the fun of getting together with their friends. So when we're talking about shows and inviting people to enjoy a show and all we really focus on is the free and half price items, then that's not going to appeal to as many people necessarily. There are going to be some people where that's just not an issue. They'll just buy what they want. They're not worried about that. In fact, you'll have sometimes people say that and they'll be like, well, I don't usually host shows. I'll just buy whatever I want. Well, that's fine. Then for them, the focus is not free products. Maybe it's the recipes. Maybe it's the getting together with friends, whatever that might be. So being, I guess maybe it's a little bit of a balance between choosing a focus in the sense of helping people to uncover what it is for them that would be appealing about having a party, but with some flexibility built in. Now, the last thing I have on here, and this I really, really encourage you to incorporate, just make it part of your routine because I've found it to be incredibly effective, is whatever you're saying. Now, of course, assuming this would make sense. Ending it with, how does that sound? Because that's a question. It's not a yes or no question, but it's a simple question. It doesn't involve a whole lot of thought and a whole lot of anything, really. But when you're saying, well, hi, Janine, I'm so excited about the new year. We're moving into the new year. We've got all this great stuff going on. And I'm, really trying to, make a point of sharing Pampered Chef and our wonderful specials with as many people as possible. I'd love to get together with you and your friends and teach you a new recipe. How does that sound?
Great.
Because otherwise, what are you going to say? Do you want to have a party? Ew, that's a little awkward. You know what I mean? You have to say something that is going to bring it together, because you don't want to say that and then say, okay, well, I'll call you back in a few days and see what you think. Sometimes you can get into a conversation where you get off the phone going, I still don't know what's going on. We still don't have anything on the books. They kind of went, well, I don't know, maybe, yeah, that sounds interesting, but blah, 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 whatever's going on. And so you have to have some kind of closure. But sometimes the things that could bring closure can also feel awkward and feel like you're putting pressure on somebody, like you're being pushy. Okay. So finding a way to kind of bring the conversation to a point without sounding pushy or putting them on the spot, the how does that sound is incredibly comfortable, but also effective. Because, and I do this a lot in texting and in Facebook messages, because I do almost all online parties. So a lot of my communication with people, even for getting bookings, is on Facebook. So when we might be in the middle of a party and I'm messaging them in, hey, thank you for your order. I'd love to help you get some, some of the other things on your wish list free. We'll have fun with your friends, with your own pampered, your own Facebook party. How does that sound? And almost every time they say, yeah, that sounds great. I mean, it's just a very comfortable transition from this sort of idea of having a party to solidifying it a little bit. Okay. And then they say, that sounds great. And I say, okay, great. Well, I start them on Mondays and I have this date open. Does that work for you? And then we go from there. But how does that sound? Write that on a piece of paper. And once you get in the habit of it, then it just kind of flows. And it can be a conversation with somebody, in person, it can be on the phone, it can be a text, it can be a Facebook message, it can be anything. But when you add how does that sound on the end, it's just as gentle, but at the same time elicits a response. That make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So we are just about ready to wrap things up here. So we're going to move to the next slide. And this is some prizes, because we got to give away some prizes because that's fun. So we've got prizes for phase 1 and phase 2. So phase 1, of course, being tonight from when we get off for an hour. So roughly it's just a little bit after 7 Central Time. And, so this is the time frame that we're looking for. So we've got them for a person who makes the most calls. This can be leaving messages. It can be a conversation. It can be a call me back. It can be a booking, whatever. Most calls made. The first booking that's posted on Facebook, so the first person who gets a booking, and in the event for tonight's booking blitz, just get on there and post, got a booking, what the date is for that booking, okay? And then also the last one. So the last one booking that gets posted before, when our hour is up, and we'll just start counting from an hour whenever we wrap up here in a minute. The person who has the most bookings as of tonight, and then everyone who has at least one or more booking is going to go into a drawing, okay? Now, phase 2, of course, is going to start after this first hour tonight and run through tomorrow night, and basically the same thing. So in that time frame, not including what happens tonight. So separate from that, the most calls that are made, the most bookings, and then everyone with 2 or more bookings during that time period will go into a drawing as well.
Okay, I have a question.
Yep.
When you say most calls made, I'm assuming you mean actual people that you talk to, not just calls, or?
No, it can be leaving messages too.
Oh, okay, cool.
So calls made, does not have to be the two-way street.
Okay.
If they are, that's great. But, ideally, when you're leaving a message or following up with a text or something in a way that's going to end up resulting in a call back or a text back or something that,
Right.
hopefully will down the road. But, it's really important. And, Deb and Janine, you guys particularly have being more experienced with Pampered Chef, how important it is to just make a lot of attempts, because if you're looking at, I might reach 1 out of 10 people, If you only call 10, that's only one. You call 100 and you maybe talk to 10. You know, I mean, so to a large extent, the numbers are important. So that's why that's just most calls made. Certainly leaving a voicemail, I would say if they don't have voicemail or it's full or something like that, then follow up with something. Shoot them a text. Now,
Yeah.
and chances are they can get a text. Once in a while it's a landline and it'll bounce back and it won't work. But, you know, then maybe send them an email or something like that. But try to reach out in another manner besides the call, just because we know how that goes.
So another question then. When you have, like, if you're working on off a door prize slip and they've marked the text me box, do you take that to mean that they would prefer you to text them?
Yeah.
And then would you avoid calling them, or would you go ahead and call them? Like, maybe they're just saying it's okay to text.
Right. And I wish that distinguished that, because I know what you're talking about. I think I would go ahead and call them, because here's the thing. If they prefer to text, they just won't answer.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to get mad that you try to call them.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so if you do try to call them and they don't answer, and then you follow up with a text, then they've got their text. But the fact that you texted after first trying to call, I can't imagine that bothering anybody.
You could even let them know in the voicemail saying, I'm calling to let you know that I'm trying to reach out to you. I'm also going to text you, kind of thing.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I let them know, you know, that to look for my text.
Right. Yep. Yep. So I'd say go ahead and try to make the call. And like I said, you know, I mean, knowing full well that there are a lot of people that just won't answer. And that's okay. You know, that's not the end of the world. It's just a little bit different approach.
Right. Okay.
All righty. So any questions or any more questions?
Nope.
Okay. Now we've got somebody else on here, and I'm just seeing a phone number. So they must have just chosen to join with just audio, which is fine. I just don't know who it is.
It's Teresa. It's Teresa Reed.
Oh, hey, Teresa.
Hey, Teresa.
Hey.
Thank you for joining us. I'm so glad that
You're welcome. I don't know why. I was thinking it was at 7, and so then I was like, uh-oh. So, and so I wasn't by my computer, so I just grabbed my phone and just joined so I could listen.
That works.
Well, I'm glad that you got a chance to, and hopefully it all kind of makes sense. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to get off right now. It's time for everybody to start making your calls. We're going to kind of go back to when you have a booking to report. When you get your first one, go ahead and post it, because if you're the first one, then you get a prize for that. If you want to then wait until the hour is up to post your results, that's fine too, because we definitely want everybody to post your results after that hour is up. And I'm going to see if I can post this PowerPoint presentation. For sure, I'll post the recording. I don't know if I can post the PowerPoint, but then if somebody wants to go through the recording, they can do that to see the PowerPoint if that's helpful. But for now, we're going to kind of wrap it up. Unless anybody else has any questions, comments, ideas, suggestions.
Nope.
Want to sing a little song? Get yourself revved up?
Got to get to it. Just do it.
That's what was that, Susanna?
I have a suggestion. Make sure that you have more than 3% on your phone to make phone calls before you have a blitz.
Oh, yes. Do that.
88%.
I probably should have put that in the preparing for the booking blitz. Charge your phone.
88%. I'm good to go.
Or get plugged in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd hate to be right in the middle of chatting with somebody and have your phone go dead.
That's okay. I'm chained to this corner of my table, because otherwise I won't get through that.
I'd say your phone doesn't work all over your house, does it?
No, it does not.
In that corner anyway.
All right.
Well, you guys, thanks again. And I'll be on that Facebook group too. So if you have any questions, go ahead and just post them in there. And we'll kind of take it from there. But good luck. Have fun. We'll see how many people we can reach out to. Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.